Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So it is super sunny, but I thought I would bring you out here anyways. It is tomato transplant time. Check these out. Look at all my tomato plants. Actually, let me bring you a little closer. So here are all of my tomato seedlings. Look at those that I started a couple weeks ago, and it is time to separate these out into their own little pots. So I just get these from like garden supply stores or online. You can get them from Amazon. You can also use like red Solo cups. Just take a stack of them and put a drill down through the end and make some holes for drainage. I've done that in the past too, and if I don't have enough of these, I'll do it again this year. But I'm gonna go ahead and start separating these. Now, one of the mistakes I made in the past was separating these out and then having a tray and saying, okay, from this end to this end it's this variety, and from here over it's that variety. And then my stuff got all mixed up. So learning opportunities. So this time around I will be marking every single pot as to exactly which variety I have. And it's a little breezy today, so you're probably going to hear the wind chimes going at it now and again. So I'm just going to pull out a few pots, then I'll start putting in a little bit of soil, and then I'll be separating my seedlings. And I set up this old, we've had this little work table here. It's just a fold-up table. We've had this thing forever. Comes in very handy for working outside. And for doing this, I decided to set it up right here in front of my house. Right there's my porch. That way any soil that ends up spilled or whatever, I can just brush it right off into the flower bed. Makes cleanup nice and easy. So I don't know how many trays I will end up with. When I started my seeds, I used my seed blocking tool, and for most varieties I usually put 2 seeds in every block. That way if I don't get 100% germination, I'll still have a good chance of getting them. A couple of times apparently I lost track of where I was and put lots of seeds, and I think I may have had close to 100% germination this time around. I've got a lot of tomato plants. It always happens. I always grow way more than I need. But that's okay, because then I just bless other people with tomato plants. Alright, so I'm going to get started here at this end. And this batch is my Amish paste tomatoes. And, you know, I have a cat who likes to get into my plants. So far, with my new setup in the bedroom, she has not touched them. Plus, I know she doesn't like tomato plants. However, I brought my tray out, I set it on the chair next to the door, set up my table, went back in to get the tray of tomato plants, and somebody snatched hold of one of my tomato plants and took off most of the leaves. One of my dogs. Don't know which one, but it was one of 2. Neither one of them would confess. So let me get started here with my tomatoes. So I'm just going to kind of pull out the first block, and really I probably should have done this last week. These are getting pretty big. So here you can see I've got 4 tomato plants right here, and I'm just going to very, very gently tease these apart. And I just take my fingers, and this corner one was actually a little bit dry. I haven't watered yet today. And I just very gently just kind of tap and tease apart the roots so that I'm not breaking anything, I'm just wiggling it loose. Just kind of massage it and gently get it to come apart. Okay. Grab a little bit of soil. And grab my tool. So I'm going to pack the soil down in there nice and snug. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy little vampire killer and make a space. And then I will just very gently put one of these tomato plants down into the hole. And then pinch the soil together. Just like that. And grab my marker, grab a label, and this is Amish paste. And into the tray. And I like to put the tomato plant all the way down in there as far as I can, right up to the first leaves, because what that does is the more stem you bury, the more opportunities for roots to grow. Because if you look at a tomato plant, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but all along the stem you see those little hairs. Tomatoes are vines. They're not like a shrub or anything like that. They're a vine, and every one of those little hairs is a potential root. So the deeper you bury your tomato plant, and I do the same thing when I put it in the garden, I will bury it as deep as I can to help establish the root system. So I'm going to work on getting all of these tomatoes done, and then I will probably move on to the other tray. The other tray that I had planted isn't as big as this one is, but I think it can handle the transplant. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of trays in here. This is all tomatoes, these are all tomatoes, and then this down here is mainly some herbs that I started the same time I did the tomatoes, but I'm not going to get around to repotting these today because it's getting close to dinner time. But before dinner rolls around, I'm actually going to take you outside and show you some stuff out in the garden. I haven't planted anything out there, it's way too early, but alright, so I'm probably a silhouette here, so I'll keep this part brief. I've got all of my tomatoes potted up. Now, when you repot things like this, you transplant them, they're going to have a little bit of a transplant shock, and so they're going to get all sad and droopy looking, but they will perk right back up after about a day or so and just keep on doing their thing. So gosh, I can't believe how many tomato plants I've got growing here. This entire tray and this partial tray here are all Dr. Weiss. These are all Bella Rosas. This one down here, there's a whole bunch of the black vernisage. We've got Florida 91s up here, Berkeley pink tie-dye, some Hungarian hearts, Amish paste. So lots and lots of tomatoes. This tray down here, these are some herbs that I started. I'm not going to transplant these today because it is getting close to dinner time, but I am going to take you out into the garden, the big garden, which I have not even begun to clean out. That is going to be happening this week because this week we are supposed to have beautiful weather. Beautiful. It's supposed to be cloudy a couple of days, but we're supposed to be up to like 73 for 2 of them. And yes, so this week is going to be big time outdoor work. The big garden will be getting cleaned out, but I've actually got a couple things growing out there. So I thought I would take you out and go see what they are. Alright, here is my overwintered mess of a garden. None of this has been cleaned up yet. I had come out here earlier on and I pulled out all of the drip tape, the drip lines. So one of the things I'll be doing this week is stretching it all out, seeing if I have any pieces that I need to replace, and getting that ready. Hey, Miss Sophie! I hear you! Yes, so here's one of the things I wanted to show you. I actually don't remember if I ever talked about these last year. I planted these in the summer and I've been letting them get themselves established. I put them in a couple different spots. I have these right here. I've got a group of them over here. And there's a few more right down there. These are Egyptian walking onions, and they're actually a perennial onion. You can use the green part like you would a scallion. Now, as the season comes along, there will be these big flower heads that will form, and then what happens is they get heavy and they fall over, and then they reseed in the new spot, creating new bunches of onions. And so that's why they're called walking onions, because it's kind of like they're just walking across the soil. And so I'm really looking forward to trying these out. I have not actually harvested any of these because I've been wanting the plants to get themselves established so that they will continue to grow. That one down there is looking really good. Look how big that is. Kind of cool. So right down there, that is a perennial flower coming back. I don't remember what I have planted here. I'm going to have to look at my chart. This might have been Gaillardia. I'm not sure, but I know it's a flower and I know it's a perennial. And then speaking of perennials, right here is where I planted yarrow last year, and you can see where I've got new little ones that have come up. So that's pretty cool. Chicken feather. There's a whole bunch of them all around here. So this is going to be one of the big jobs this week is, yes, Foghorn, is coming out here and cleaning all of this up. I've got a great big mess. Alrighty. So, got the sun beaming from my side here, but it's been a beautiful day. Got a lot done today. Got at least half of all of my plants potted up into their own pots so that they can continue to grow and thrive. And I am really looking forward to working in the garden this week. It is going to be a big time garden week, which means it's also going to be a big time slow cooker, instant pot recipe kind of week. So I actually inventoried my freezers recently. We have 2 of them, and went through to see everything exactly what I have. I made a whiteboard that I hang on the wall by the 2 freezers, and it has just kind of like a chart of everything that is in both of those freezers, so that I can at a glance see what I've got, what I might be short on, and all of that. So this week I'm going to be pulling out lots of things, lots of big things like whole chickens and roasts, and putting them to good use this week. And there's probably going to be a lot of that happening because I think we are maybe looking at the beginning of the garden season here. I think it's about to start. It might not be time to plant stuff outside yet, although there are a couple things that I do need to get in the ground. So I've got a bed over there that stuff will be going into. I have a couple different things that are supposed to get planted 6 weeks before the last frost, and I'm actually, I think, maybe behind that at this point. So I will be planting them this week, which means, yeah, it's beginning. Garden season is here. I can't wait. It's a lot of work, but I sure love it. And of course, like the last 2 years, this year I will again take you through with weekly garden tours and share everything that's going on, what I'm struggling with, how I'm trying to overcome things, what I'm doing, all of that good stuff. And yeah, so with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, go in the house, get cleaned up, and get ready to make dinner, or make the sides. Mr. Smith is going to grill up some steaks, so I'll make the stuff to go with them. So that is it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me here at the homestead. I will talk to y'all next time.